Yeah, hear that, John? That was the easy climb.
Easy climb.
That was the easy climb.
Okay, good.
Yeah, it's only, what was that, 10%? I don't know.
No. That was 18 to 20% on the steep parts.
Yeah, I know percentages.
Yeah.
I really do. Hey everyone, Ben from Swim Bike here. I'm here with Garth, and we are talking today about the Aventon Ramblas. It won 2024 Biking Magazine E-Mountain Bike of the Year, and we're here to talk about what it is, why it got there, and what it means for the cycling world today. Garth, you've been riding this bike a lot. You have one personally.
I got one personally.
Yeah.
It's my own bike now. I've owned every kind of e-bike there is. I have a $9,000 e-mountain bike, and believe it or not, this little puppy has become my new favorite.
Yeah, it has. And tell us a little bit about those specifications and then the different modes that it has.
Yeah, so this bike obviously has a great spec. I'm not going to get into it. You can read about it. But there's some certain highlight things that nobody else has. This motor puts out 100 Newton meters of torque.
Biggest one on the market,
Biggest
right?
one on the market, yeah. Bosch and Shimano's only 85 Newton meters, so smokes it on that. It's got 3 modes. It's got your Eco, your Trail, and your Boost mode, and Turbo mode, sorry. And it's really got a great spec. RockShox components, you know, Maxxis tires, everything's name brand, SRAM drivetrain, 12-speed drivetrain, headlight and tail lights built in.
Yeah, integrated.
Integrated, that's a huge
Yeah.
feature. Dropper seat post, and everything else works. I mean, it's the first bike I bought that I've left completely stock. I normally change out something. I change tires, I change seats, I change grips. This bike is perfect the way it is.
Well, and also the price range. I mean, it won E-Mountain Bike of the Year for all these features. But what's that price range?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I mean, any bike that's under $3,000 with all this specification, that's kind of a joke. I think they're just seeding the market and proving that they can build a high quality bike in that under $3,000 bracket that's going to just blow doors on everything else. It competes with bikes that are $5,000 and $4,000 to that $6,000 bracket.
Like Shimano, Bosch, like those kind of
Shimano, Bosch, Broza, any of that kind of stuff. This bike will take it on.
Yeah, it's an amazing bike. I've ridden it personally myself, and it can be really easy because we can talk about these types of bikes, and you can go out and go to your local trails. You're riding around, and it's like, what can this bike really do? What's the limit? Where does it hit a wall?
I've been abusing the heck out of it, and the beauty is that motor, 100 Newton meters of torque, will outclimb you. It'll climb up anything before it, and it won't actually stall out. It'll just flip over backwards. I mean, you'll lose traction or you'll pop a wheelie. So it's at that sweet spot that I don't think e-bikes need to be any more powerful. I've been pushing it around anywhere from 206 to 210 pounds, just my body weight. I fluctuate quite a bit. So it's pushing a big guy around. You know, it can push much bigger people around, no problem. If you're a lighter person, between 140 and 160 pounds, the thing's gonna be like an absolute rocket ship.
It is a rocket ship. It really is. And weight, like you're saying, is really the bigger factor when it comes to, because that's the biggest question I get with e-bikes is, how far is it gonna go? And with commuter bikes and everything like that, there's a trick that you can take the watt hours of the battery, which is simply the voltage of the battery times the amp hour capacity, multiply those two numbers together, gives you watt hours. You can usually just, is a 3-digit number, you take off that last digit, it gives you an idea. But with mountain bikes, it's a little different, right?
Yeah, so with mountain bikes, we've learned another cheat, which is to add a number. So if you have a 400 watt hour battery, you can add a digit to that makes 4,000. That's 4,000 feet of elevation gain. Elevation gained is really a more important number when you're talking about mountain bikes. This bike has a over 700 watt hour battery, so that means you could pretty much pull off up to a 7,000 feet of elevation gain in a day.
Right. And something here at Sequim Bikes we do a lot. We do monthly bike packing trips, and bike packing is all about going and venturing on your bike, and you always don't want to carry a lot of stuff because whatever you bring, you have to pedal around. And this whole new space is opening up with bikes like the Aventon Ramblas, like Salsa and the Tributary and all these different bikes, and the e-bike packing space is opening up.
Yeah, it's never been a thing. I've bike packed my entire life. We used to call it touring, and now they call it bike packing. It was just really a difference of semantics there. But this is a new thing. We've never had an e-bike or e-bikes like today where you could actually go out and do this range of mileage and carry this much weight.
Yeah.
So that's very significant. I bike pack quite a bit on a hardtail mountain bike, so it just seemed like a natural transition to attempt it on the Ramblas, especially given the ranges.
And we actually kind of tested that because we did a bike packing trip, and Garth had scouted out on his Cutthroat, and he wanted to do it again, so he was doing it for a second time. It's 120 miles with over, what was that? Almost 7,000 feet of climbing. That was the Cowichan 8 in British Columbia.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that.
The Cowichan 8's a kind of a famous bikepacking trip. You can find all the details on bikepacking.com. It is one of the awesome staples of bikepacking. So it's a great route, really difficult first day. I did 66.6 miles the first day with this puppy, and what was that? A little over, almost 4,500 feet of climbing or more.
Just about there.
Yeah, and I didn't know if it would make it. I was really concerned. And the beauty is, all of that climbing on that route, if you look at the elevation profile, it's all within a 10-mile range.
Yeah.
So you're climbing 20, 15% grades. I mean, it's super steep. And a lot of people who do the Cowichan 8 walk those sections.
Yeah, they do.
I mean, they walk them. So it's a lot of
I
hiking.
told him I didn't walk any of it, by the way, for the record. I was his first gear, just and we got up there eventually.
Badge of honor.
Yeah, those. And so a lot of people talk about, oh, what modes were you in for that kind of mileage? You're talking about those three ones: Eco, right? Trail, and Turbo.
And Turbo,
So tell us about those.
So normally if you're riding around trying to maximize your battery, you're going to use Eco quite a bit. I've motor mapped my bike out so that my Eco mode, and that's what's cool, we have an app that you can motor map and change your outputs. I have my lowest Eco mode at 60 Newton meters of output. I have my trail mode at 80 Newton meters of output. And I have my turbo mode at 100 Newton meters of output, so full power. I'm asking for everything. But I also brought down the sensitivity so that I have to push kind of hard to engage the motor, which is my torque sensor. And so it's kind of neat. So I was using Eco to off on the bottom section out of Victoria, except for that one guy who kind of passed us acting like a hero, and I'm like, no, this ain't gonna happen. So we jumped on his tail. He kept looking back and he raced us for a little while. I went up to Eco, he couldn't drop me. I thought it was funny.
And then we blew him up.
Yeah, so you gotta do that. If somebody comes by you gotta do it.
Yeah.
So by the time we got to the hard, serious part, where all of a sudden it's like, boom, 15 to 20% in your face, like I knew this was gonna take hours. So I'm like, heck with it. I went to turbo. I used turbo mode up most all that baby. I mean, that's sucking a lot of juice, but I'm like, this thing can do it. It can do it. And I was tired. I just did that route 2 days before.
Yeah.
So
there's a lot. And you went halfway and you stopped at a little cottage when we went in the woods and camped.
Yeah, you guys camped in the woods, and I wanted to go all the way up to that 66, almost 67 mile point to Lake Cowichan, where I could get to power, so I could just top off my battery for the next day.
So you just brought your charger, right?
Yep, just brought the charger. That's it.
Yeah, really.
I actually brought too much. I brought the charger and a spare battery because I had battery anxiety and I didn't know if this bike would make it or not.
Right.
And I totally proved to myself easily I made it, and it would have made it even better if I left the 8 to 10 pound battery at home.
And what would you say? Because you had one water bottle here, if I remember correctly.
Large water bottle.
You had about like 50 pounds of gear?
I was running just about 50 pounds, which is a little bit heavy. I wouldn't typically carry that much on a bike packing trip. So I had a handlebar pack, I had my feed bags, I had a top tube pack with all my tools and my kit, and a seat pack which had everything else in it, from clothes to bed pad, sleeping pad, sleeping bag, all that kind of stuff. So.
Okay, so I got the data here, and I'll put it up here on the screen. We got day one. We had used almost all the power. You had 8% left coming back to your little cottage, the Airbnb thing. Yeah. That was about 65 miles and around 4,500 feet of climbing.
Yeah, 66.6 miles exactly.
Yes,
I had a Garmin, so I was tracking
it. I'll put that up there. The second day was 65 miles.
Yep.
And that was around the 2,050. That's off my Strava there. That we did, and that was 2 days.
Yep.
So, and that one you had 40% when we got back to Victoria.
A little bit more than 40%. Yeah. And I was, again, very frivolous with the modes. I didn't even care. But we had some headwinds, and we had a long 3%, 4% pull coming out of Lake Cowichan.
So we got fast, which was nice.
Yeah, so I just am like, fooey on it. I'll go to a higher mode, and I'll take the pull. So I did that quite a bit. I got in front and pulled.
We appreciated that. And that was the cool thing, is that we experienced there. that's the first time for me. I've done a lot of bikepacking trips. Having an e-bike, having hey, go scout that campsite for us. I mean, you're gonna have to go down a hill and everything, and we're dead at the end of the day after all that climbing and everything. Having that was super nice. Having you to pull and push wind for us and everything like that. That was super. I know John and I were. There were times we were very appreciative of that. But it was a really cool trip. I think it was really cool mixing that and seeing just how far the Ramblas can go.
Yeah.
And I think we kind of pushed it to its limits on this trip.
Yeah, I think we found the limits, and that is use ride with GPS when you chart something out.
Yeah.
And find out what distance you're going to be going, how much weight you're going to be carrying, and elevation gain. And I think you're really safe. You know, you're really safe as long as you stay under that formula.
Have a place to charge.
Yeah,
Just
I
be
mean,
prepared.
Yeah, a lot of people who tour on motorcycles have to have a place to get gas.
Yeah.
Right? So it's no different than that. I have friends that personally have gone all the way across the United States and from Canada to Mexico on e-bikes, but they just plotted out that I need to make it this far and top off and plug in and top off and this far and this far.
It's just knowing how to plan a route.
That's
right?
it. It's all about route planning.
It's just different planning. It's the same type of recipe. You're just looking for different ingredients.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Cool. There's a lot more information. It's been really fun to push this bike, guys. Join us on monthly bikepacking trips, e-bikepacking trips. We got a lot of different things going on. Garth has been joining us. We got clinics. Check out sequimbike.com. We have, if you need to learn how to plan a route and stuff, everything's on there. We got all the studio events there. We will see you guys in the next one. Thank you for watching, and drop a like on this video. All right, thanks guys.